Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast with host Kat Ward. Hello, my haunted hearts. Welcome back to Paranormal Heart Podcast, Paranormal Talk with Heart and Soul. Tonight's segment is pre-recorded, streaming on United Public Radio Network 107.7 New Orleans and 105.3 the Gulf Coast, YouTube, and any place you find your favorite podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. So tonight we welcome once again the remarkable Dr. Christopher Macklin. Dr. Macklin is a healer and spiritual teacher known for his deep understanding of multidimensional beings. We'll be diving into one of the most fascinating questions of our time, the line between angels and extraterrestrials. Are they separate forces guiding humanity? Humanity? Oh, good grief, I can't even pronounce that word properly. I apologize. Or do the realms overlap in ways we're only beginning to understand? So get ready for an eye-opening conversation on angels versus aliens. Hello, Dr. Macklin.
Yeah, Kat, thanks for having me back. It's wonderful to be here. Bless your heart.
It's so nice. It's so nice to see you again. Thank you.
Oh, bless you.
So I'm just going to move. I have one screen here. Okay, here. So I just have my line of questions instead of having it on the other monitor, and I'm turning. I like to have it in front of me. So first of all, how have you been?
Yeah, great. Well, some episodes and different things, but generally I'm doing great. Bless your heart. You know, it's a crazy world, though. I mean, you look outside, the place is nuts.
Yeah.
But I love it. You know, I love being here, helping people.
Yeah. My father, whenever people ask him, how are you? And he just says, tickety-boo.
Yeah, tickety-boo.
Tickety-boo, yeah.
Yeah, we know that phrase.
Yeah. So, I saw you. I think you were on with Michelle DeRoche. I can't remember which show I saw you on. And you were talking about angels versus aliens. And I thought that was a really, really interesting topic. And I just had to cover that on my show as well, because that seems to be a very popular topic these days.
It really is. And you have to look at fallen angels. You have to look at angels. What makes an angel? What makes just a standard extraterrestrial? What's the difference? You know?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because if you look at, I think it was Time magazine in December the 27th, 1993, it said in Americans, there's 69% then people who believe in angels, you know, and I thought the existence of angels, I thought that's pretty high, actually, you know.
What was the percentage again?
69%.
Oh, wow.
That was in 1983. So
1983, wow.
I'd imagine there's a lot more now. So, you know.
I think so, yeah. So I don't know if it's more people believe in it, or if it's just more people are talking about it and admitting it, because a lot of paranormal things, people just talk about a lot of it more now. People just seem to be more open about it. It's a little bit more acceptable than it was 20, 30, 40 plus years ago.
It's true. And even healing. I mean, you know, I talk about healing sometimes, and people are starting to accept that more as well, you know. I think they're starting to look outside the standard religious concepts and constructs to think there's more to, in quotes, God. I mean, I define God as God, Goddess, Prime Creator, all it is. But I think, you know, people don't need a bridge to talk to God or God beings. They're just there, you know. And all you have to do is meditate with them. And, you know, it's amazing, really.
So my first question for you, from your perspective, what's the key difference between an angelic being and an extraterrestrial intelligence? Or is there a difference?
Well, it's very interesting. You know, I believe, angels, you know, typically defined as a spiritual being, often depicted as a divine messenger, like an intermediary between, you know, humanity and, you know, and off-planet beings. You know, they act to kind of protect us, guide us, you know, usually they're not normally visible to the human eye unless you can see through the veil. I mean, I can see them, you know. Last year I had an event where Mother Mary showed up in our bedroom at 1 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, because I had an event where I almost died again, you know, said, do you want to stay? I said, what a stupid question. She goes, well, I was only asking. And she was gone. Yeah, stupid question, you know. I'm staying. That's it, you know. So, Yeah, so that was interesting. I mean, I've had a number of angels, Archangel Michael, come in the room. They're very big beings, very bright. If you can see them, and some people can't see them. It depends whether you can see through the veil. But I think the veil is getting thinner. So anyway, I think with angels, they tend to be. They've gone through the journey, wherever it is on planet Earth or somewhere else, where they've experienced a lot of different, scenarios and events and tragedies and everything else, and they get to a place of what we call unconditional love, of course, the love of God, where they're really evolved, and the standard extraterrestrial beings haven't done that. They're fighting and doing things. They're doing good things for humanity, or some of them are. But they haven't really reached that plateau of absolute unconditional love where they've really surrendered and let go. And then, of course, there's the negative entities that just want to manipulate humanity, and there's plenty of them around at the moment. And it's interesting because I think right now, the negative entities, or the negative fallen angels, in quotes, are really stepping up their game to really try and manipulate and distract people and attack them, and I've seen that lately. I mean, we work on, healing wise, we work on 3,000-ish people a week,
Wow, that's a lot.
Specialized groups, one-to-ones, and then we have the protocol that strips all, bioweaponry, stealth pathogens, things like that out of the body. It's a lot of work, I have reduced it since last year, of course, because, I had a thing that happened, and sadly, I had to go in hospital and get a valve replacement for the heart. So I found I can't quite do as many as I could. But then I also think that people are losing the plot a bit. They're struggling to hang on to anything, because this world, if you look at it, what's manipulated and what's not. Well, everything, the money, the food, the air, vibrational frequencies, everything. And I think people are struggling to try and get a, what would you call it, a foundation to something. And there isn't one. So you have to then turn to the God realm and Prime Creator to get that that knowledge and that faith that you're protected, you're okay. And when you get to there, you've really made it, I think. So yeah, but it's interesting. If you look at angels, if you look at archangels, what archangels do we have? Well, I've got to list them because I can never remember them all, and where they're from. But we've got Michael, Ancient Palladian, he's really old soul. We've got Gabriel, Sirius, he comes from Sirius, constellation, communication, messaging, and creativity. Raphael, healing, harmony, and balance. Uriel, you've got him, you've got wisdom, insights, ideas, and enlightenment. Shamael is from Venetian Taurus constellation. Love, compassion, relationships. Josephiel, beauty, creativity, positive thoughts. Zadkiel, Orion, forgiveness, mercy, and transmutation. Raziel, Sirius B, sacred mysteries, esoteric knowledge. You've got Ariel, which is Lyran, the animal kingdom. Nature, animals, environment, healing, and manifestation. Haniel, joy, inner beauty, emotional healing, soul remembrance, and then Azrael, Orion, grief support, soul crossing. So they're all here. That's archangels. So archangels are more evolved than the angels. They've been around for longer. So although angels reach the unconditional love, they don't necessarily have the wisdom to be able to really help. And that's why people always call on archangels, because they have the wisdom. The regular angels, you got Remiel, Arcturian, Israel, Sirius, Bachitiel, Palladian, Baniel, Orion, Yothiel, Lyran, and Dubiel, Andromedan. I think that's all of them. No, some more. Hamiliel, Arcturian. There's Serha, Lyran, Zarachil, Sirius B, and Achiel, Sirius B as well. So all these guys are there to help. But like I say, if you want wisdom, it's better to call on the evolved angels. The really soul evolved angels. Archangel, which people do. I mean, Michael's the favorite one. I mean, poor old Archangel Michael, he must be exhausted because, Michael, I need some help. Michael, I need some help. Okay. And, you get help if you manifest it. And that's the key, so yeah.
No, so I know some people do get divine encounters and extraterrestrial contacts. They kind of confuse them or think they're one and the same. How would somebody be able to distinguish between the two?
You've got to use your own. You've got to use your own intuition. That gut feeling that you first get. Don't use your mind and what you think. You get this gut feeling. Oh, this being's not very good, because there's one thing about the fallen angels or negative beings is that they manipulate you. So they'll kind of give you 3 truths, 1 lie. So, for example, if you're talking to a channel and they're channeling something, they'll say, "Oh, it's Archangel Michael." That's a lie, but maybe, again, you have to use your intuition. Is this person got a clear channel or not? And that's very important because, believe it or not, 97% of readers don't have a clear channel. So what does that mean? So if you're talking to a reptilian entity like an Anunnaki or Draconian, you'll talk about, what do you, this podcast thing that you do. How do you know I do a podcast? Well, yeah, they're saying it's great and you should keep doing it and da-da-da. And then they'll give you a couple of other hints about truth that, wow, they're really good. Then they'll give you one big lie, like, "Oh, Kat, you shouldn't be where you are. You should actually go to France and buy this house with a pink roof, red doors, and a green, driveway."
I'd love to go to France.
Yeah, but you won't want a house that color. And you kind of think,
maybe not.
What? And then a lot of people get led because because they got 3 or 4 truths before they got the lie. They fly to France, and you're going to find that house somewhere. They say, "Oh yeah, you're right." So they're taking completely off your divine path, and that's the key. You've got to stay on your divine path. So the biggest thing you've got, in yourself is your truth, and that comes from the intuition. That's the first. That's the first inkling or intuition you get. And don't overthink it. Just, "Oh yeah, this is not good." And don't think, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You start deliberating, you're going to go off that intuition feeling. And that's really important. That's what we've all got.
So how would you explain to an individual how to be able to use their intuition? Because I know sometimes you think an intuition might feel right, but it's really not. So how do you explain to an individual how to be able to do that?
Well, again, you have to protect yourself. And we have prayers like the 27 East State of Merkabah Field prayer. Because again, I mean, if you use a dowsing, we've got dowsing pendants here like this one.
Yep.
And so, you have to ask it, what's right, what's wrong, and is this true, false? You have to see which way it spins or goes forward and backwards. And then you can ask it questions. Now, again, if you've got a big old Anunnaki or Draconian standing next to you, that can send energy into that pendulum and manipulate it. But if you clear the channel, clear the channel, we have prayers to clear the channel. You can clear it, they'll clear it, and then put a 27 esoteric Merkabah field around you. What will that do? It'll keep these entities away from you so they can't manipulate, and their energy won't get through that esoteric Merkabah field layer. And that's one good, really method of making sure that you get all the truth, and people use it all the time, actually.
Some people refer to as bubbling up. Would that be similar to that? Like you're putting a bubble around yourself? Or would that be something different?
Well, the 2070 state, it's the same, actually. I mean, the Merkabah, if we have a look at this one, the Merkabah is like an 8-pointed star.
Okay.
Now, if you put 27 layers, one thing I've found over the last 7 or 8 years is that I used to put one layer of a Merkabah field around you, and that was great for a while, and then they started getting more feisty and breaking it down. So we put 3, Christ conscious of 3, and that was great for a while, and then they started breaking it down. So I thought, well, 3 3s are 9, let's put 9 layers.
Yeah.
And that lasted for a while, and then eventually they got through that. So now we've got three lots of 9, 3 times 3 times 3 of Christ consciousness. They haven't broken through that at all. The only way they can get through is if you have like a big event, and I've had people, well, I did the Merkabah field prayer, And then an entity managed to get in and attack me. You know, if you get some tumultuous event, like you're talking to somebody and you get all upset, you know, your vibration's going to drop, then the field's going to disappear. So it's very important to not really get involved with tumultuous discussions. You know, just be surrendered, be in the place. I mean, I learned a long time ago that, you know, people, because of their trauma, they react very easy, of course. And so what I learned a long time ago is that nothing bothers me anymore, because, you know, what people think of you is not really your deal. You know, it's theirs, you know.
Yes, I've heard that saying a lot, and it's brilliant.
Well, if you think about it, you know, if you worked on your trauma, you really don't get. I call it the couldn't give a shitometer. It kind of exploded.
Yeah.
So it's not that you couldn't give a shit about anything, but you couldn't care less what people think of you, because that's their narrative with their trauma. And you know, starseed people who are born here to make a difference, because they're, again, starseeds are evolved people. So why were they born here? If you look at the keys of Enoch, the keys of the universe, then even Prime Creator, who created this whole third dimensional world, cannot get involved with the journey you're on unless you ask. Now, people have forgotten how to ask. And how do you ask? Power of prayer, you know. Or the power of, I don't like the word prayer, I like the word maps of intent. The power of maps of intent is, look, guys, we need some help down here, so please come. But you put it in like a format, and we've got plenty of prayers on the website to really help people through, you know, even removing entities, you know, even if you've got chemical trails, you know, you can do a prayer and you can nullify them. And it all works. We've tested them out all over the world. So I think, you know, these instruments really help people to protect themselves, and that's really important. So once you put the 27 Easter Egg mobile fields around, whatever you douse, as long as you ask them the pendant, well, you know, show me yes, and it might spin in, you know, clockwise, and show me no, clockwise, or maybe it'll go backwards and forwards, or left and right. Once you've done that, you'll get the right answers. But, you know, it does take a while for people, I think, and what I've seen is that for people to really believe it. When I first started this journey and got here in 2010, I had an epiphany. Just to give you an example, I had an epiphany like, wow, you know, how does leukemia work? And they showed me visions of what the blood was like at the end. So I got up and it was 2 a.m. 2 a.m, wow. And I wanted to check it with somebody in England who was up, you know, and cross-check it. And because, you know, at the time, I was still learning to believe in my own intuition. Every time I checked, it was right. And eventually I realized, yeah, I'm right, because I do protect myself. So I went into the office at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I talked to this person who was up. I said, so can you tell me what you get? You know, is it this? Is it that? And they said, yep. And, you know, and then after a while, I learned that, you know, my intuition is spot on. You know, it seems always correct because of the protection I put around myself.
And it's difficult because you have to get rid of your self-doubt too. Like, is my intuition correct? Or, you know, you got to get out of your head.
Oh, yeah. But I think after a while, if you have someone to bounce ideas off, and once you've done it for a while and you keep getting, yes, you're right, eventually you think, wow, I've really nailed this. And so you don't need them. You can just go with it. You know? And now, I mean, we work on a lot of people a week, you know, 3,000-ish people. You know, general groups, specialized groups, up to 20 people per group, and then one-to-ones, you know, and you know, all these people, you know, I'm working on them, you know. I mean, obviously a general group, I have a set format, and the Kislet beings go in and they're through portals and they do the healing, but I think, you know, I've really learned, and I can remote view in people's bodies. You can see their kidneys, you can see their liver, and see if they've got an attachment, you know, and all these sort of things. So, yeah. So I've really got there with that. You know, it's about surrender. It's about having the faith in God. And I mean, my belief is, you know, Prime Creator, all source of all it is in everywhere, in everything, in everybody. So we're all God beings. So once you got the faith in God, you got the faith in you, because you're a God being. You know, you're part of the whole scenario. So,
yeah.
And when you surrendered, you know, God's always got your back. I mean, honestly, Kat, you know, 20 years ago, I had a reading with this lady. She goes, well, you know, I was in England and, you know, doing corporate things. She goes, well, you know, I sat down and she was looking up. She was writing things down. Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. She said, well, you're going to get remarried. what? Okay. I mean, I didn't look like that with her. I said, okay. She said, you're going to move to America. Okay. And you're going to work for God. Okay. And you're going to live off donations. I thought, this woman's nuts. Here we are.
Yeah.
This is all I do. And it was funny because the other day I was putting together a pyramid project, very big. It's a lot of money, and it's for some white hat committee. I can't go into it too much, but anyway, we had to put a cash flow forecast. And I said, I want your curriculum. And I was writing down all the things that there's 40 years ago. I shouldn't say that. 40 years ago, last week, yeah. But funny, some of the companies I work for, I can't even remember their names anymore. I don't know about you, but you forget what you've done. And I wrote all these things down. And thought, wow, this is amazing. And that was corporate. And then now, obviously, since 2010, although I've been gifted all my life, I've really focused on, just doing this work full time, and I love it. I absolutely adore it.
You're very fortunate. Sorry, thought I was going to cough there. I didn't want to cough in everybody's ear.
Bless your
heart. So how can I word this? Do certain extraterrestrial groups have roles similar to angelic beings, such as protectors, healers, messengers?
Yeah, if you look at the good guys, and the good guys are working with us, some of them are angels, some of them are not, but, they're beings who want to help humanity through this transition.
Mm-hmm.
So who have you got? You've got, Palladians, Arcturians, Lemurians, Atlanteans, Andromedans. You've got Melchizedek, of course, which I am. There's 5 of us here. So, and then you've got Lyons, you've got a whole host of different beings who are here to help. And helping they are, The problem is that, a lot of people don't, although they believe in angels, extraterrestrials maybe not, because they view it as different. And I don't view it. An extraterrestrial is an angelic being. Archangel Michael, he's an evolved angelic extraterrestrial being, in my opinion. He lives in a different dimension, the 5th dimension, and, he turns up and shows up for us every day. So it's all connected, I think it's a fascinating subject, I really do.
It is, very.
And then the manipulators, you've got the Anunnaki, Draconians, you've got Archons, you've got Luciferians, I said probably too much in the last few years about them. I got into trouble with it. So, yeah, let's just leave it at Luciferians. You've got snake beings. But the Archons are the bigger ones at the moment, because the Archon Covenant was written a long time ago, where it was all about, make people sick, lower their vibration, because Archons float through the 2nd and 3rd and 4th dimension. They have no body. So what happens is, if you're sick and your vibration's low, they can attach to you. And so that's what, in 2019, the whole event was about, to get people to attach by, if you alter someone's DNA, and believe you me, DNA, RNA, immune system, all connected. If you change someone's DNA, the light body in the DNA is not compatible with your soul. Soul lifts out the body about an inch or 2. In come Archons, and therefore the whole people change. They become transhuman because their DNA is not normal human DNA. And they've got an attachment, so they become kind of checked out, but aggressive. And it's very interesting, so.
Yeah. During the pandemic, I find there was so much confusion and anger, and people were afraid. And when you mentioned earlier about a lot of things don't bother you anymore, I've mentioned this on the show before. I had this woman come up to me at a grocery store, and this is before it was mandatory for us to wear the masks. It was your choice at the time, and I was not wearing one. And this woman came up to me, and she was livid. She was really upset that I wasn't wearing a mask. And I thought, I'm not going to have an argument with you. So I just looked at her. I said, I wish you much love and happiness. Take care. And I walked away, and she had this look on her face like, what just happened?
What?
Yeah. So
why did you get reactive?
Yeah. Because I find like during that period, like I said, people were so afraid because we didn't know what was going on. So yeah, it was just crazy times.
Well, I did. It's interesting because I remember going to Best Buy. I needed something, and I wouldn't wear a mask. It was mandatory. So unless you got a doctor's note. So
Yep.
so I walked in and he goes, "Oh, sir, you're meant to wear a mask." I said, I can't. I've got the screaming habdabs. He goes, "Oh, well, you better stand over there." And what was funny, I thought it was nonsense, and then I looked up on Google. There's a
actual thing.
There's a condition. The scream. Have a look on Google. The screaming habdabs. So if you ever get that again, just say, "I've got the screaming habdabs." Oh my god! And I could see the guy saying,
"Is it contagious?"
What the heck? Is it contagious? Who knows?
Oh my!
I had some fun with that because I refused to wear a mask. I wouldn't wear a mask because if you look at things, viral is 3 microns, mask is about 80 microns. So it's just like breathing it in. It doesn't make any difference, So
yeah,
really interesting.
Yeah, but I think it helped a lot of people to feel like they were actually doing something to help with the situation at the time. So I think it helped alleviate the fear in a way. But it was special times. So I have heard you. You've spoken about channeling in higher dimensional beings. How do the communication methods differ between angels and aliens, or is there a difference?
If they're higher dimensional beings, it depends. I mean, it's interesting. If you're a starseed person, you've come down here, you've been born here, maybe spliced at birth. It depends what race you are. Palladians, you can put a Palladian soul in a human body because it's badly compatible. We've got 57 different strands of different DNAs from different positive beings. Of course, it was manipulated, but if you're a starseed, you've probably been spliced at birth. Depending, if you're Arcturian or Melchizedek, you're spliced at birth. I've got 84% Melchizedek DNA, and then the rest is human DNA. My body's very different. My heart's the size of a volleyball. It's huge. It's not, but who cares? But Arcturian's the same now. Lions spliced at birth. Other ones not so much. So, but you're down here to do a job, and so what happens is, and this is interesting because when I first, started really focusing on my path, which is 2007 when I went bankrupt, I used to meditate every day. I went to Belize, went on the Mayan temple called Antovich, which is just outside San Ignacio. Very powerful temple. And I was on the top of it, and the energy just blew me wide open. Whoa, I was seeing visions in the sky, and I was just sitting there all afternoon seeing these things. And so I went back to my hotel bedroom in the evening, and I was watching. I said, "Show me my past lives." They did. It was almost like having a 3D TV in your room, showing like Egypt and this and that, and I was just fascinated. Wow, okay, and it blew it open. After then, amazing things got back to England. Amazing things were happening, and but you have to meditate a long time, because one thing I've learned about your soul family, this is your soul family, where your soul is actually from, not where you're from. If you ask the wrong question, where am I from? You got a bit of Palladian and you got Arcturian. You're just going to get yes. Well, where am I from? If you say, where's my actual soul from? That's something quite different. And, I learned I was Melchizedek then and came back and, I really meditated with the Melchizedek beings. And for a while, they didn't contact me. So, I was lying there. Okay, guys, I'm here. Nothing. Next night, here, nothing. And it's just 3 or 4 hours a day. And eventually I said to them, look, I don't know when they're going to contact me, but I'm not giving up on this. I'm committed forever. So don't know what to tell you, And probably a few weeks after, once they connected, everything changed. It was amazing. And I got downloads all the time, cause and effect of diseases and everything. And it was just incredible. And that's where, one thing I tell starseeds out there, if you feel as though you're a starseed, how do you know a starseed? Well, you've got empathy. You don't put up with blah, 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 very much. You don't like blah, 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 all the usual stuff that people talk about because you're very different. You also isolate because you're very different, because people think you're nuts, and because the way you think is very different, and that's okay. But being an empath, of course, you ingest a ton of emotion. And that's why I think a lot of starseed people have got things like PTSD, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, because, you know, when I was younger, about, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, 3 truths, 1 lie. I've been trying to tell the clients, like, I dye my hair metallic silver, and they're, oh yeah, right. You know. but when I was younger, you know, in my 20s, if someone talked behind my back, it would almost make me throw up, like sick. How can you do that? You know, how can people talk behind your back? Because I never do. And I think another bad thing about starseed people as well is that when you talk people, you just tell them the truth, and they get very reactive because they don't like it, you know. And I remember one of my clients, she was quite perturbed. She was on a group and she said, well, I went out with these 6 ladies, and so I just told one lady the truth. And she goes, well, how dare you? I demand an apology. And she said, well, how can I apologize for the truth? You know, I don't understand. Because you don't understand. But I think, you know, from their perspective, from the average human perspective, they think you're very intense. And that's why I, you know, don't tend to hang out with too many people who really don't understand you, because you come across as kind of intense when it's not meant to be. It's just, I'm always about the truth. I don't tell anything but the truth, you know, and that's, I'll never change that, you know. So, yeah, so starseeds, if you're a starseed person, you've ingested a ton of emotion. So, you know, it's important to start working on that to get rid of it and get yourself to that surrendered, God's got my back point where nothing actually matters. And, you know, or everything matters, but, you know, not people's opinions and narratives of you. That's their problem, not yours. And it's very important to remember that, you know.
I remember about 30 some years ago when I was working at a grocery store, and I was working with this lovely young lady, and but there was something about her that just irritated me. I don't know what it was. So one day, I don't know why, she asked me, "What do you think of me?" And my first thought was, why does it matter what I think of you? But I'm like, oh, you don't want to know. And she's like, yes, I do. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm going to tell you the truth. And then she goes, yes. I'm like, okay, I find you rather annoying. It's like, I am sorry. I'm so sorry. And she goes, oh, we became the best of friends after that, just because I have a hard time lying. I really do. I have to watch how I say things for certain people, but it's funny because a lot of people will come up to me and ask me my advice, and I always say the same thing. Are you sure you want it?
Yeah. You might not like what I'm going to say. No, tell me the truth. Then you tell it, and oh, okay. You know.
Yeah. I always tell my friends. Yeah, I always tell my friends, I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It is. So are there specific physical or emotional responses people experience uniquely during angelic contact compared to ET contact? Is there very much of a difference there?
There can be. If you've got ascending masters, archangels, you know, ascending masters are like archangels on steroids. When you really contact them, you feel this overwhelming, like, unconditional love. You know, I don't know if you've ever felt it, Kat. I've felt it a few times, you know, where you get in this place like, wow, you know, it's difficult to describe as this absolute unconditional love, which is kind of, it's surrendered, so relaxed, so blissy, you know, you can't describe it. And when you've been there, when you get back into this world, you know, I mean, if you're working on people, you have to dip your toe in the matrix, not too far, but, you know, enough so you can actually, you know, talk to them and pull them out of the matrix and pull them out of the matrix. And I think that feeling of absolute overwhelming energy and unconditional love is just for evolved archangels and ascended masters is huge. That's what you're going to feel. Now, if you've got negative beings, you're going to feel the opposite. Like, oh, you know, I remember when I was 4, you know, I saw an Anunnaki, and God, you know, when I was born, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, I had 8 strokes. I burnt my back one just before 4, and I was in hospital for years. So when I was still 4, and I got back home and I was lying in bed, and, you know, this great big old Anunnaki reptilian thing was standing in the corner of my room. Oh my God, what's that? And I said, Dad, there's a reptilian in the corner, and he comes running in. Where? It's there. Where? Oh, it's just a bad dream. And I was looking at it thinking, this is not a bad dream. That thing is standing there, you know. And the way you can tell is you get this really suppressed feeling in your chest, like dark feeling, like, oh, this is not good. So anyways, I go back to sleep, you know, and went downstairs, and I thought, what the heck? And somewhere from nowhere, I just said, get out of my room, to myself. I didn't shout it, but get out of my room. It went. I thought, oh, wow, that worked. And very early on, I learned how to manage these beings. Again, power of mapping intent. People don't realize if you're a God being, you have God power. These fallen angels don't, because they're manipulators. So their power is, sucking the life out of you and manipulating. They could have the God power if they switch back to it, but they won't. Well, some of them will, some of them won't, hopefully. So I think, we all have the power to remove these things. It's just getting that power and taking your power back. And, don't tread on eggshells for anybody, because it's not worth it, That's why I have very few friends. Yeah. In England, they call it Billy No Mates.
Oh, I haven't heard that term.
Yeah, Billy No Mates. Well, you've got no mates.
Yeah.
Like
No
friends,
mates.
So it's really funny. And we have about, really close friends. We only got 2, and that's about it, because there's other people who kind of get us, but kind of don't. And, you can't go too deep, so you have to watch what you say. And I don't normally like treading eggshells. I just like talking about different things, and So
it's kind of like when I first meet people, I don't automatically tell them, "Hey, I'm into the paranormal and I have a podcast." I just wait until people get to know me, because I've noticed. Well, it's not that I don't hide it. I just find sometimes people kind of look at you like you have 3 heads, but then they'll take you aside later on, and when there's nobody around, but there was this one time, what do you make of that? So I find that's interesting too.
It is, yeah. Well, I remember going with Southern Baptist couple, for lunch, and we're sitting there. What's the first thing people ask you? What do you do for a living? I thought, oh no. Oh no. Well,
where do I start?
What do you mean healing? Yeah, healing. Is it in the name of the Lord? Kind of, and then I thought, let's just tell them. So I talked about portaling and, removing entities and, working on people's psychic surgery. And the fluoride stare appeared, and I thought, oh no. So, anyway, so well, thank you. And they never invite us again. So I guess we weren't cutting the mustard, as they say, But that was interesting, But you're right. Sometimes you sow a seed and people deliberate on it. I had a funny experience, and I've had so many people with experiences, abductions and things like this, I mean, in the world, there's a lot of beings as well, which are things like NPCs. They've been born in pods. Now, people often ask me, well, what do you mean by an NPC? Well, to get a proper human soul here, you need a woman's womb, full stop. Your fertilized egg, well, maybe you start with candlelit dinner, or maybe you start with flowers, candlelit dinner, fertilized egg becomes a fetus. You've got 3 months to get the soul in. So anyway, the soul comes in, because of the God energy around your womb, you're creating life. And so you've got a proper human being. What happens with the pod is, and the Greys were doing this, they were abducting people, stealing eggs and sperm, and then fertilizing these, they're not human beings, they're kind of robotic biological beings in a pod, but they were getting like a draconian AI soul in, because the soul would not come through because there's no woman's womb. And they've been doing this for a lot. And they took the Greys, they're not that smart. Hang on a minute. These are robotic people we're producing, because they wanted a race to take over from Reticula because they destroyed their planet. So what they ended up doing is they decided to abduct ladies, seed them in their womb, put them back down here, wait for about 3 or 4 weeks with monitors on, and that's where you get implants. They were monitoring their body. As soon as the soul came, they'd abduct them again, take the fetus out, and then put it in a pod, because then the soul's there, And I've had a lot of ladies who think, well, I was pregnant. I didn't understand then I wasn't. What's going on? Yeah. And, you explain it to people, which they get upset about. But then, once you realize what it is, you can then start transmuting the emotion. So that's been very interesting. So, of course, to lower the vibration of the human race, there's 75% of people who are NCPs, NPCs. It's incredible, of the whole planet. So, these things won't last that long because they're not proper human beings. They're just biological, robotic draconian-driven AI systems, so really interesting.
It's the first time I've heard anyone refer to them as kind of robotic, but it does make sense.
Well, you can always tell, because if you go down the store, if you look at the eyes, there's nothing there. It's dead. They can't do a monologue. They have really not much expression. You can tell they're just doing robotic stuff. They've really got no thoughts or reason or anything else. It's really interesting. It's kind of sad, really, but yeah.
I've met a handful of people in my life because I can usually sense something from people when I'm talking to them, but every once in a while, it's like, you are empty. Like, it's just something, you can see it in the eyes and you can just feel it. And it's just, for me, it's disturbing. I don't like that feeling, but.
No, I mean, I had a reptilian girlfriend. I never really realized for a little while. And I wasn't asking her to look at the right questions. She was mean, everything I did well, and she was mean all the time. And one night I was just sitting there on the sofa and looking at it, and I said, why is she so mean? They said, do the prayer, Why? Just do the prayer and look at it. Now, the prayer is that if someone's a reptilian shapeshifter, if you do this prayer, you can see the overlay of the reptilian. It's like opaque. They can't hide it. So I sat there and I had the prayer. The prayer goes like this, or map of intent goes like this. You ground yourself. I am of God. I ground myself to the earth. Dear God, I command you, show this person in their true form. And I thank you, God. And do you know what will happen? You'll see this. It's really obvious. You can see like a reptilian overlay of their true form. And anyway, that happened. Oh, God. Next morning, got all my stuff and I was gone.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
That actually happened to me once, and I didn't even ask for it. I was out. It was my best friend's husband, and we were both in the militia at the time. And so it's just like the reservist. And after we were done our 3-hour work, we just go to a restaurant, have some coffee, whatever. And all of a sudden, his face changed. And I sat there and I just looked at him and then he went right back to his normal self. And I thought, what the heck was that? It's the only time it ever happened. Yeah, it was.
A few people are that, because I watch their face, it starts to morph. They're trying to stay in their true form. And then I just, okay, go on, because they've been showing me this person. They literally, the energy in their face starting to pixelate to their other form. It's amazing. I've seen that a lot, So there's a lot of reptilian shapeshifters amongst us as well, of course, which is really interesting.
That was the one and only time I ever witnessed that. I was just like, holy cow.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of, especially girlfriend. Oh, God.
Well, yeah, especially do I tell my best friend? That her husband is not what he seems. Do I let it go? They wound up not staying together after all, but it's just, yeah. Did I really see what I just saw? It was it was unnerving.
It is, but I think if you have the light, eventually you have the intuition that something's not right about this, and you do something about it, or the thing's going to go south. I mean, I get a lot of people at the moment. It's interesting because people, there's a certain element of couples where one of them wants to get really spiritual, and the other one's third dimensional, but the separation is so huge. What do you do? Because one of them's treading eggshells, the other one's just berating the other one, saying, "Oh, conspiracy theories, da da da."
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to live in that situation? The answer is probably not. I mean, I encourage people to stay together, but I don't encourage them if it's going to just be trauma all the time. What's the point? It's time to move on. I think in this day and age, it's different. You have to do what you need to do to be in that peaceful, tranquil, surrendered place. And I mean, I got there a long time ago. Now in the last year we've finished building a house on 40 acres here. It's got woods around it. The Amish built it, and it's just like heaven on earth. So and it's great because I'm not amongst people, which means I'm doing this healing, but then I can regenerate myself without being in like a big community. And it's really beautiful.
It must be so grounding as well with all the trees around you.
Oh, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I really do.
Yeah.
And the Amish building it and just
Oh
they've done
yeah.
an incredible job. It's a beautiful place.
So it's well made.
Oh yeah, like way over spec, and
Yeah.
but it was worth it. I look at it and think, wow, I've not seen a better house than this built. It's beautiful.
Nice.
So,
How long did it take them to build it?
should have been a year, but what happened is that the architect guy was brought up with the Amish, but he's he's in the normal place. He's not Amish per se, but he knows their ways, and he runs the Amish teams. He drives them around, everything else. Anyway, they started building it, and they put the foundations and everything else. Then everything stopped for about 6 to 8 months, and there's backup on the concrete, everything else. I found that the last house they were building was almost finished, got struck by lightning, and so they had to dismantle 2/3 of it and rebuild it again. That's why it took 2 years instead of 1, but that's what it is.
Nice.
Everything happens in God's timing, so I always feel blessed.
There's usually a reason why. Like, it's just like if I'm driving and I want to get to my destination and I'm being, there's detours or just something stopping me from getting there at the time that I want. And now I've learned that there's always a reason. And then you usually find out there was an accident over there or whatever. Had I been on my regular trajectory is not the word I'm looking for, but on my regular drive with nothing stopping me, that could have been me. And it's amazing.
Well, these angelic beings are always there for you. I remember being in India. I don't know if I mentioned this before, on the past podcast, but I was in India and I went out to see the Dalai Lama. Don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, I didn't. Obama was over here, so they blocked that. That's interesting. Anyway, I was doing various things out there, and I went to, and then on the way back, I went to the northern camp, the Tibetan northern camp, which is north of Delhi, and it's all Tibetan people, and I stayed there for a while, and then 3 days before I was supposed to go back, they said, you need to delay your ticket for another three days. What? And this is when I had virtually no money. I said, well, why? You need to delay your ticket for 3 days. I said, why? Just delay your ticket for 3 days. Okay, I'll listen. I got to phone my brother, and anyway, I changed the ticket. On the day that I was meant to fly from Delhi to, I think it was going to London, Heathrow, or wherever, plane never took off. It went to the end of the runway and blew up and killed everyone on board.
Oh, wow.
I said, was that meant for me? And they go, well, yeah. Why do you think we said, Jen? So I had to bless everyone on board, everything, and I thought,
yeah.
And last year was the 290th time to take me out. And I thought, well, you're not doing a very good job.
It must be getting hard for them because you're onto them now. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I've been dusted with bioweaponry, in conferences and you name it. It's happened. I got really sick many times, but but because I realised what it was, because they always told me, I said, what was that? I was walking around with the expos and I felt this like dusting on her. What the heck's that? It's not like just a bit of someone sprayed me a bit of water. I said, what's that? They go, it's a bioweapon. Get back to your room right now. So I got back to my room. I worked on myself. My temperature flew up. I got really sick. And anyway, when I came back, I had it lab analysed. And it was 3 components: 2 malaria, which comes from rats. It's deadly. It's a deadly bacteria. It was delivered through a solvent, which is banned after 1960 because it sinks through the skin so well. And it had a binding agent to bind the cells to make it worse. And I thought, wow, this is insane.
Wow.
And really high levels in my body. And of course, you go to the hospital, if you passed away, they'd checked it. They don't check for bioweapons. They just check for the average things in the street. Oh, I don't know what it is. Oh, well, natural causes, or whatever. So that was interesting.
Wow. How did you feel at that moment? Like,
I felt kind of upset with them, really, but Dr. Hildy had been working with, since 2010. The woman's a genius. She's now retired because they tried to take her out because she's a world-leading industrial toxicologist. So she knows all the stuff, She said to me, be very careful of your handles because they put elephant tranquilizer on it. If you touch that, you're going to die within minutes and things like this.
No.
It's insane, isn't it?
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah.
And there's a crustacean, like a purple crustacean. I've forgotten the name of it, but apparently it's the most deadliest poison on the planet. And of course, they use that, So there's various things, and you think, well, yeah, I'm still here. We're still doing it.
I'm happy.
Yeah, bless you. But you just get used to it. Oh well, never mind. Moving on.
Yeah, they tried again.
Yeah, no, it's crazy though when you think about it.
Yeah. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, but what signs in particular should people look for to discern whether an experience is benevolent, deceptive, or harmful? Is there anything that people can actually look for?
Yeah, I mean, normally angelic interactions, normally they won't show themselves. There's like a rule again, keys of Enoch, rules of the universe, that you're not allowed to show up, like even Mother Mary, Archangel Michael, and show themselves before you. If it's 1 a.m, and get scared, so they're not allowed to. So you have to be evolved enough to be able to, oh, you've dropped by to say hi. Well, that's great, And but when you get an angelic presence, you feel that love from them. You can feel like, wow, and you feel tranquil. First intuition will be like, yeah, this is a good being. But if you feel any interactions that are negative, you start to get this like pressure in your chest, like negative feeling, like, oh, this is not good, And you can discern. Again, it goes back to discernment. So, but again, I would ask, if you're unsure, just use a dowsing thing. If you're going to somebody for a reading, douse it. Is their channel completely 100% clear, yes or no? And if it's not, because if you say, is their channel 70%? Well, if they're channeling reptilian, yes, it is. And it's quite interesting. I mean, when I wrote my book, History, Truth, and Healing of Manufactured Diseases, I doused it, and it said, well, it's 75% correct. I said, does that mean there's incorrect information? They said no. I said, well, what's the problem? And I doused it and got to the point where they were saying there's information missing, and you can't publish it until you get the rest of the information. Okay. And 2 years after, I figured it out, and we found a protocol to strip all the stuff out of the body and put it in. I said, okay, is it 100% correct? Yep, you can publish it. And so we did, because I never publish anything unless it's 100% correct at that time. As things evolve, who's to say it's 100% correct now? Because things evolve. So, but, I always make sure at that time it's 100%, and not 1% less. And that's important, I think, so.
Do angels ever intervene during alien abductions or contact scenarios? Or do they just kind of stay away?
They would intervene if you... This is an interesting point, actually, Kat, is that people think, I've heard it before, well, I had a car wreck. Where the heck was God? I thought I was protected. But they're still alive, and if the car's completely totaled, they're still alive. Does that mean to say there's intervention? Probably. But does it also mean to say you're on a path where you need to experience that car wreck to further evolve as a spiritual being? There's probably a lesson in it. And there's always lessons. The older your soul is, oh God, the older your soul is, there are more stuff you have to put up with in this lifetime. And believe you me, I think a lot of people have. And the worst, I think the worst scenarios and interventions you've had are the best for growth. They really are, because that trauma, you've got to transmute it. And it's not just about forgiveness. To me, it goes beyond that. I call it wisdom beyond forgiveness, knowing that that person abused you, whatever way they did, and you have the wisdom to thank them for the blessing, because it's made you into the beautiful, strong person you are today. If not, you wouldn't be that strong person. I mean, my father, I chose the family. He's been a crabby old guy, most of his life, berating me and putting me down. And I just thank him. He's 91 now. I just thank, I don't tell him this, but I said, thank you, Dad, for being such a crab ass, because, you've made me into the major, because you said you're too thick to get a degree. I got those. Too thick to get a master's, got those. Too thick to get PhDs, I got those. I went into consulting and, flight control systems initially, and I did very well at it. And then suddenly in 2007, God goes, we better change your life. So with a 6x4, and whole life collapsed. And here we are, turned around, and now I'm doing even better, because I love what I do. You know what I mean? I've got the passion. I love it.
So kind of a blessing in disguise in a way, just because it helped it made you stronger. Yeah.
But it seemed last year, I mean, having open heart surgery, could have fixed myself. I didn't have the time. I had to have open heart surgery because the intervention, because I was talking about, some faction, and they sent a low frequency energy weapon. So I view that as negative now, because I went through that process, and it really taught me a lot about, heart conditions, because I was in end stage heart failure. And one day, I didn't have enough oxygen to digest, so I was throwing up 5-6 times a day.
Oh, wow.
I was interested because I was throwing up and I was on one knee, and then I just sat down. I was exhausted, and I was sitting there, and I can't get up, And so my wife comes in, Mandy. I can't get up. Well, I can't get up. What the heck do I do? And I was kind of laughing, but what do I do? I didn't have the strength, literally the strength to get up. And it really taught me what vulnerability can be like. So it was a great lesson. And in the end, I thought, well, maybe I have to phone the fire department. Give me a haul up or something. But I managed after 20 minutes to get enough strength to get over the toilet, push myself up, and get back to bed. So what people say, oh my God, it was a terrible. What a blessing to be able to experience that, because now I can understand how vulnerable people could get, wow, because you never realize until you're in that situation yourself.
Yeah. How do you see the future of angelic and extraterrestrial interactions with humanity? Humanity. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Humanity? No. Is that?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
okay.
Humanity.
It doesn't sound right. Evolving.
I think there's going to be disclosure. I think that's coming fairly soon. I mean, there's this 3 hours thing. Everyone's fed up with listening to that. It has benevolent beings. They're there to help us. I've remote viewed it. Some people said it's got draconians on it. No, it hasn't. Let's be honest. If that was a negative craft, it could have taken the planet out by now. So, it's here to help. It's been firing stuff at the sun to get more solar flares, because solar flares, they're plasma. And what they're doing is injecting ourselves with plasma and raising our vibration. But one of the problems I'll share with the viewers is that because of the plasma energy, what's happening is people are putting on weight. Why is that? Because we're detoxing way too fast. And so what the body does, if you detox out your cells, it gets in the bloodstream, and the body's like, oh God, we can't have this, it'll overload the liver. So what it does is create fat cells. So everyone's getting like pot bellies and putting a bit of weight on, not a lot, but maybe 15, 20 pounds. And they say, oh, I've got to get that off. Don't bother at the moment. Just stay as you are, because your body's taking care of you to make sure those toxins are in fat cells. And then, once this all turns around, it'll dissolve the fat cells pretty quick and get rid of the toxins. So, it's a good point to think about,
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I just think, is it similar to like an animal putting on their winter coat to protect them?
Oh, yeah. What it's doing is getting all the toxins out of your bloodstream. Otherwise, it'll destroy your liver.
Yeah.
Because when the toxins are too high, the receptors get the fat cells growing so that, it can deposit them in fat cells and leave them there for a bit until that calms down. And then they'll start actually dissolving the fat cells and getting rid of the toxins in the fat cells. It's just like a battery repository for toxicity. So the last thing you want to do is try and get lose weight. I would just leave your body take care of you, for now.
So I can tell my husband, honey, I don't have to lose weight.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Well,
I think this time,
Yeah. We are at the end. An hour has gone by already.
Where's it gone?
I know. Could you please tell the audience where they can find you if they're looking to get books or help?
Yeah, if you want any help, just go to globalenlightenmentproject.com. It's globalenlightenmentproject.com. We do twice a week, we do a general healing. It's by donation. If you have no money, please come on. That's why I do it, because I've been there, got the T-shirt on that one. We do that at 5 p.m. Central Time on Thursday and 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday. And we do specialized groups where we actually focus on the healing for each individual, speak to them, do one-to-ones. We do the protocol that strips all bioweaponry and everything out. Yeah, we've got a lot of things available. So have a look at the website. I'd love to give anyone any help.
There's a lot of stuff on your website.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so very much again for being here. I'm really happy that you took the time to hang out with me in the audience. So thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Bless your hearts. I hope it's been useful.
Oh, absolutely. If you have a few moments to chat after I say my farewells to the audience. So if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much again. Well, a huge thank you to my special guest, Dr. Christopher Macklin, tonight, and to you, my wonderful audience, for tuning in. I also want to thank UPRN 107.7 New Orleans, 105.3 the Gulf Coast for carrying the show. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. It truly does mean the world to me. And if you'd like to be on the show, have guest or topic ideas, or just want to say hello, drop me an email at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. Much love to you all.